Step aside, Jeffrey Epstein, because the internet has cooked up an even wilder, more unhinged conspiracy theory about why Taylor Swift seems to mysteriously vanish every single Sunday. Week after week, she shows up to support Travis Kelce, slipping into the luxury suite with her entourage, chatting with his family, laughing, sipping her drink, and doing all the usual Taylor at the game things we've seen 100 times before. But this season, something is different. Something is off. Fans watching from home immediately notice the shift. Not a single broadcast camera turned toward her. Not once. No reaction shots, no sideline cutaways, no Taylor cam, nothing. And that's not normal. Not even a little bit. Last year, networks practically treated her like part of the starting lineup. The cameras couldn't resist cutting to her every 5 minutes, catching every smile, every gasp, every whispered comment to Blake Lively. She drove up viewership numbers like a one-woman marketing machine. So for the NFL to suddenly act like she doesn't exist, that doesn't happen unless someone made it happen. And that someone would have to be Taylor herself. Because here's the thing. Networks don't just decide to stop showing the most famous person in the stadium. They don't ignore the woman responsible for millions of extra viewers, sold-out jerseys, and endless headlines. They stop only when they're told to stop, explicitly, privately, quietly. Which raises the question that now hangs over every Sunday game like a fog. What has Taylor so uncomfortable, so guarded, so protective of her privacy that she doesn't want cameras catching even a split-second glimpse of her? Is it something personal? Something physical? Something emotional? Did something happen behind the scenes? Did she undergo a procedure she doesn't want the world dissecting? Is she hiding a surprise project, a wardrobe issue, or a family matter? Or is this simply Taylor reclaiming her privacy after a year of becoming the NFL's unofficial co-star? Theories are multiplying like wildfire. Some reasonable, others absolutely wild, but all we know for certain is this. Taylor Swift didn't disappear from the broadcasts by accident. She disappeared by choice. And that choice has fans more curious than ever, watching the games not for touchdowns, but for clues. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the celebrity spectrum, Diddy, once one of the most powerful figures in music and fashion, is now living a very different kind of reality behind federal prison walls. And surprisingly, he seems to be dipping his toes back into the world of media, even from inside a correctional facility. New footage we obtained shows him working in the Fort Dix Prison's media library, moving around the room with the sort of focus you'd expect from someone trying to rebuild a routine. Just a few weeks ago, we reported that Diddy had been assigned to the laundry room, one of the more grueling, less glamorous jobs an inmate can get. We're talking industrial washers, endless cycles of towels, sheets, and uniforms, and yes, the dreaded responsibility of sorting through piles of other inmates' sweat-soaked socks and underwear. Compared to that, shelving DVDs and organizing dog-eared paperbacks is practically a promotion. It's quiet, it's orderly, and it doesn't require you to touch anything questionable. If you've ever had to choose between handling a stack of musty, overworked briefs or alphabetizing a shelf full of crime thrillers and self-help books, the decision practically makes itself. I know which one I'm picking. But Devin, who insists he hates reading on a spiritual level, like it personally offended him in a past life, would probably still choose laundry. Some people truly fear books more than dirty socks. In any case, seeing Diddy scan DVDs, straighten shelves, and check out materials to inmates is a bizarre yet strangely human moment, a snapshot of a superstar adjusting to a life he never imagined. The investigation surrounding Celeste Rivas, the 14-year-old whose body was discovered inside the trunk of singer David's Tesla, continues to twist into darker, more disturbing territory with every new development. What began as a tragic death has now escalated into one of the most chilling cases LAPD has handled in years. Authorities revealed that Celeste's body had been frozen solid for an extended period, not days, but months. The level of freezing was so extreme that even after the Tesla sat in the blistering Southern California heat for nearly 2 full weeks, the body was still noticeably unnaturally cold when tow yard workers pried open the trunk. For investigators, that detail alone set off alarm bells. Bodies don't remain frozen after baking inside a sealed vehicle unless they were kept at sub-zero temperatures for a significant amount of time beforehand. Because of this, the medical examiner is facing an almost impossible task. The freezing obliterated many of the markers they rely on to determine cause of death: bruising patterns, internal injuries, even certain toxins or biological signs. Every path they would normally pursue has been complicated or outright erased. Months into the investigation, they still can't say definitively how Celeste died or even when. But what they can say is that this didn't happen naturally and certainly not accidentally. Despite the forensic roadblocks, LAPD is treating the case as a homicide, operating under the assumption that someone intentionally froze the body, stored it, and then placed it in the trunk of the Tesla. And all signs, so far, lead back to one person, singer David, who remains their primary and most scrutinized suspect. Investigators are now digging deeper into his movements, his property, his associates, and every hour unaccounted for in the months before the discovery. Shifting gears, we caught up with Gia Giudice in New York, and we have to congratulate her again for winning Special Forces Season 4. She and Olympic gymnast Shawn Johnson-East were the final two standing. The last challenge? A brutal interrogation scenario where contestants were deprived of sleep for more than 24 hours and forced to endure extreme conditions. They were the smallest competitors, physically speaking, a cheerleader and a gymnast, yet they outlasted a cast of pro athletes and military-trained celebrities. So the next time someone says women can't hack it, kindly direct them to these two. Now, back to the great modern mystery. Aliens, the Bermuda Triangle, people who wear socks with sandals, none of those compare to the bizarre puzzle of why Taylor Swift is no longer shown during Chiefs games. She was there cheering on Travis, but not a single camera pointed her way. A stark contrast to last season, when broadcasts showed her so frequently that fans jokingly accused the NFL of turning games into Taylor Swift concerts. And truthfully, no one buys a ticket to a Swift show expecting a surprise NFL scrimmage in the middle of cruel summer. So the complaints last year weren't totally unreasonable. Things changed the day Taylor arrived at a game with a massive privacy screen, physically shielding herself from cameras. Since then, the only footage we get is shaky fan videos and clips from people who happen to be nearby, including this past Sunday. And let's be honest, the NFL had every reason to show her. She brought millions of extra viewers last season. So why suddenly stop? The only explanation that fits is that Taylor herself demanded the broadcasts leave her out. And if Taylor Swift tells a network to back off, they will. She's practically a ratings cheat code. Which raises the juicy question, what is she trying to hide? Is she pregnant? Recovering from a cosmetic procedure? Dodging Blake Lively after a private fight? Something else entirely. Right now, all we can do is wait. On the pop culture front, actor Lucas Gage made headlines when he described himself as really gay, but not fully gay, during an interview on the In Your Dreams podcast with Owen Thiel. The hosts playfully asked him to rate how gay he is, and Lucas responded that he's 10% straight or maybe 10% bi. Has he hooked up with a woman? Yep. Slept with one? A few times. Harvey pointed out that sexuality exists on a spectrum, and the hosts joked that normally asking someone, "How gay are you?" would get you canceled, even though Harvey himself has been with women, and Devin admitted he's probably 90-10 too. Now, back to the chilling Tesla case. Investigators believe David may have secretly driven to Santa Barbara County late at night with another individual to dismember Celeste's body sometime in spring 2025. The remains were later found in Los Angeles, suggesting the body was brought back and stored in a freezer instead of being disposed of. Inside David's residence, located just blocks from where the Tesla was discovered, police noted a large KitchenAid refrigerator freezer, capable of holding a body the size found. Older footage from 2024 even showed David standing beside an entirely different freezer. LAPD is leaving no stone unturned, and David remains their top suspect. On the lighter, though still eyebrow-raising note, Cardi B and Stefon Diggs welcomed their baby, and Cardi had her placenta encapsulated into supplements that she's been taking daily. She also had the umbilical cord dried, dipped in gold, and turned into a necklace. Opinions were mixed. Some panelists thought it was inventive and sentimental, while others joked whether circumcision jewelry is next. Later, new footage emerged from inside Fort Dix showing Diddy again, this time starring in what might as well be called Life in the Big House. He removes his jacket as a rolling screen is brought in so inmates can watch a movie. He scans and organizes DVDs, checks out materials, and walks the halls holding a DVD titled Winning the Battle, a self-help program focused on breaking destructive habits. Considering he started out on laundry duty, this is practically a promotion. Gray hair and all. We ran into Gia Giudice once more in NYC, and she talked more about the intense final moments of Special Forces. In the last stretch, she and Sean were buried in mud inside a wooden box during a psychological endurance test. Gia said the lack of time awareness was the hardest part, but quitting never crossed her mind. Over at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, Beyoncé effortlessly stole the spotlight. Her custom Louis Vuitton racing jumpsuit wouldn't zip up past a certain point, leaving a dramatic, deliberate chest reveal that quickly became the talk of the event. She later hopped into a Ferrari with Lewis Hamilton, hitting 200 miles an hour, and Jay-Z took a ride afterward, only to stumble out needing water. For the nighttime festivities, Beyoncé switched into a custom red leather Ferrari romper that nearly broke social media. Kendrick Lamar once famously asked, "What would Lecrae do?" We caught up with Lecrae at LAX. Kendrick has said that when he struggles with tough decisions, he sometimes imagines how Lecrae would handle the situation. Lecrae said he's honored and tries his best to offer spiritual guidance to people wrestling with faith, even outside traditional church settings. The hosts joked that they would personally be a bridge to hell. Reality TV icon Nene Leakes hopped aboard the Hollywood celebrity tour bus and made the entire group's day. She greeted fans, hyped up the crowd, and even wished one tourist a happy birthday using her mic from the Abbey, even though it didn't actually work with the bus speakers. Nene especially brightened the day of a new tour guide who nearly fainted meeting one of the most legendary housewives of all time. Donald Trump recently reminded everyone that he urged NFL teams to draft Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur made his first start for the Cleveland Browns and led them to a 24-10 win over the Raiders. Trump then posted, "Shedeur Sanders was great." During draft season, he repeatedly insisted teams were making a mistake by passing on him. The hosts joked that maybe Trump should focus on running the country instead of getting quarterback evaluations, though they acknowledged he's entitled to enjoy football like anyone else. They even brought up the infamous Diet Coke button. After dark, Sky Days from Black Ink Crew hosted the Party Bus Tour, sponsored by Monster Energy. The bus hit some of LA's top bars, Powerhouse, Beach's WeHo, and Saddle Ranch, and things got rowdy fast. On Sunday, Sarah Oliver and Judy Jai hosted the Brunch Bus, which was equally chaotic in all the right ways. Meanwhile, Josh Brolin appears to be entering his Renaissance Man era. He recently revealed a massive back tattoo featuring a lighthouse, mermaids, and ocean imagery. Then, he was spotted surfing in Santa Barbara the same weekend. At almost 60, he's earned the right to do whatever he wants. One host joked they might get a grassy knoll tattoo next, complete with symbols from the Warring Commission.